Hello, my name is Yuya Fushikawa. My ID number is 18003721, and in this presentation I am going to talk about the flat water kayak. So to begin with, I am going to talk about the basics of kayak. It is basically, in essence, it is a small boat that is propelled by the paddle. It's double-bladed paddle, and the blade comes in different shapes, such as the hydro, wing, spoon, flat, etc. Kayak is very versatile. It has several purposes. It can be recreational, touring, creek boat, long boat. Talking about the competitive kayak, it can be slalom, polo, and so on. But all kayaks can be classified as one of the following: either flat water, or competitive, or the white water. Now I'm going to point out the two main differences between canoe and the kayak, which I think are worth mentioning. The first thing is that canoe uses a single blade paddle, whereas the kayak uses double bladed paddle. And canoes have open tops, while the kayak has closed tops. Although not always, usually. So there are different kinds of kayaks, but in this presentation, I am solely going to talk about the flat water kayak. So here are the types of flat water kayak. Some examples are recreational, sit-in, sit-on, touring, fishing, etc. However, in this presentation, I'm going to leave out the fishing. You can see that the flat water kayaks have different shapes to suit for different conditions, but the basic structures is the same basically. Now moving on to the paddle. You don't have to be too choosy when it comes to recreational paddle. It's just designed for recreational purposes. It is heavy. It is inexpensive. It is only suitable for short paddling. You can get easily tired if you paddle for too long, so it's not suitable for long paddling. Usually it comes in the hydro shape, the paddle. The blade of the paddle. This right over here, moving on, is the overview of the blade materials. I'm going to start off with the nylon blades. It degrades when left in the sun, so you should not leave it in the sun. Because it is flexible, it might it might prevent it from snapping into two, but it might crack a little bit. And a disadvantage of the flexibility is that because it is flexible, your stroke is actually not very efficient. And obviously this is the cheapest one. The next one is the fiberglass blades, which in terms of price it lies in the middle. It shows great performance and durability. It's lighter than plastic. It might chip, but not entirely usually. The stroke is efficient. Last but not least, carbon fiber blades are the best. It exhibits best performance, and the stroke is very efficient, and it's very light. Now this right over here on the top right is it shows the different types of the different materials for the blade, and you can see that as you go towards the top, the price increases, weight decreases, blade stiffness increases, therefore the efficiency of your stroke increases. Moving on to the advantage of the hydro blade, I just want to briefly talk about what the advantage of the hydro blade is. You can easily recognize the hydro blade by its upside down aeroplane or bird-like shape. The advantage is that you have more control over your paddling. It does not flutter, and the water tends to kind of flow smoothly over the two halves of the blade, so it's good. It's very suitable for long paddling. Now this is the shaft materials. Moving on. The plastic shafts are rarely found. Aluminum is very common, and it's very good because it is affordable and it's very usable and durable. But the thing is, because of its conductivity, it can get very hot or very cold depending on the temperature, the ambient temperature, and the weather conditions. So you should obviously keep it in the shade if you're not using it, and you might want to use some gloves because it might be too hot or too cold. And talking about the composite material one, it is very good because it combines the advantage of different materials, so it enables both efficiency and lightweight. Moving on to the overview of recreational kayak, it is very short. It's like 10 feet or even less. It has a closed cockpit, large opening, easy to transport and cheap. It can suit to different conditions. In summer you can have open tops. In winter you can have closed top. You can wear the spray skirt and have a very comfortable ride. You can prevent your lower body from getting wet and so on. So it's very good. This is just an overview of touring, sit-on, and sitting kayak. Touring kayaks are fast. They're very fast and they're pricey and they're very long and narrow. And because they're narrow, it's actually less stable. So yeah, so that's actually a disadvantage of touring kayak. Sit-on kayak is the most user-friendly kayak. It's very good for beginners because you can easily get on, easily get out, and it's very stable because it's wide. But the disadvantage is that you can easily get wet. Now the sit-inside kayak is good because you can have the spray skirt and you can prevent your lower body from getting wet. But the disadvantage is that you don't have the same freedom to kind of move in and move out of the water in the kayak. And if you kind of capsize, the recovery is hard. Now this is the basic anatomy of the kayak. You have the stern at the back, bow at the front. You have the seat, cockpit, you have the hatch for storage. The shock cord deck rigging at the back is for like establishing self-rescuing system like the paddle float. The one in front, the shock cord deck rigging, this is for like sliding in the paddle. So it's like you can slide the paddle in. Moving on to the sit-on and sit-in kayak. This is just a basic overview, the comparison. Well, the main difference is obviously that the sit-on kayak is wide and open, while the sitting kayak is narrow and closed. Basically, they share the same structure, but just to point out a few interesting structure on the sit-on top kayak. It has a rudder for steering purposes. The bailing scupper holes are like automatic drainage system, foot braces to keep your foot and to fixed, and then also to control the rudder. The cargo hatch is obviously for storage. The seating system is obviously necessary for any kayak. Accessory is optional, and so on. Yes. Moving on to the repetitive injuries in kayak. In any sports, you have the risk of getting injuries, and kayak is obviously no exception. Repetitive injuries, as the name suggests, occurs due to repetitive motions, and it usually occurs at the end of the paddling season. You can have like tendonitis, carpal tunnel syndromes, and lower back pain. Tendonitis is a condition that exhibits inflammation in your joint in either your wrist or shoulder or the elbow. The carpal tunnel syndrome is when you have like a tingling sensation in your hand. And the lower back pain is called the yak back. It is paddling induced lower back pain. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about how to avoid these repetitive injuries. When paddling, please do make sure to use your entire upper body and use the abdominal muscles for the paddling. Don't just use your arms. It's just gonna be like you're just gonna get some injuries if you just use the arms. And another important thing is to stretch and warm up before the kayaking in order to warm up your body and enable more oxygen transport to all the muscle cells, encourage better blood circulation. So in this way you can prevent a lot of injuries, a lot of repetitive injuries. So that's pretty much about it. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation and have a good day. Thank you.